stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good afternoon. Hello to my other trudgers, my trudgers from another mother. Almost rhymes. Trudgers from another mother. Huh. I swear some of the stuff that comes out of my mouth. My mouth runneth over. Hey, I'm live on YouTube. Yeah. Another hybrid meeting in the books. You know, it's funny because I start those meetings, and even today it was like 2:00. Nobody was on Zoom. Nobody had shown up. But we, a couple of 3 people showed up on Zoom, and we had one person come in person. It's like the people that end up in our meeting are people that are from out of town visiting. Almost every single one of them has been. But it always ends up this way. I really needed a meeting, so I'm glad you guys were here. There we go. If my effort, and I mean all the effort that we put into that meeting and to make it go, if it's helping one person, then it was all worth it. Now, I don't care how much money was spent. Yeah. All right. Yep. 12 by 12, pain is the touchstone. There's a part in the 12 by 12 that talks about this. I just don't remember where it's at. I know it's in the 12 by 12. All right. All right. Now, I didn't ask for the AI overview. I wanted the page. 164 and more will tell us. All right. Yeah. AA literature, pain is the touchstone to change. Oh man, people are already leaving. Did I not entertain you well enough? I'm so sorry. It's all right. Oh, all right. In the measure in which we desire to be the healer of pain. That's step 7. Let's just start there. Pain had been the price to admission. Page. I think what we're looking for is page 75, which would be step 7. Doesn't sound right. And for some reason, I thought it was in step 10. And I still think that I'm right. We're about to find out because I can see what I can kind of see it in my head. Nope. All right. So let's go to page 75 where it told me to go. No, this still isn't it. I'm sorry I didn't do a better job. Anyway, why don't we just go ahead and we'll go ahead and do it. All right. All right. No. Apologize for anybody that had to sit through that. Welcome to Daily Trudge. Dion. Host. Most. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. It is not this part that I'm looking for. But anyway, we're in the 7th month. Maybe it just wants us to do this. Maybe God's like, yeah, I'm not going to let you find it because I want you to do what I want you to do. All right. So that means we're going to throw some humility into this. Right? But humility is the answer. I'm sorry, but I really want to find this. Oh, no. Okay. AA, Touchstone, Pain, Change. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Pain is the catalyst. It's bringing it up, but it's not giving me. We're just back to where we were. I think I got it. Might be page 112. I've only spent 6 minutes figuring this out. I will get to it eventually, but nobody's really listening. So, oh, there's Amber. I haven't even gotten started, Amber. All right. All right. Let's just go ahead and do it. Let's do it. So, we're going to start on the bottom of page 74. This improved perception of humility starts another revolutionary change in our outlook. Our eyes begin to open to the immense values which have come straight out of the painful ego puncturing. All right. And that ego puncturing was the fourth and fifth step. Until now, our lives have been devoted to running from pain and problems. We fled from them as from a plague. We never wanted to deal with the fact of suffering. Escape via the bottle was always our solution. Character building through suffering might be all right for saints, but it certainly didn't appeal to us. Hey, Claire, it's good to see you. So, I was just in a meeting and somebody was talking about how they finished their fourth and fifth step, right? And, and, they were talking about how they're in their fields today, right? And it's because they're confronting their snakes. It's part of the process. You're gonna, I'd been running from my problems and escaping my problems for so long that I wasn't sure how to handle them. So this was a new process for us, right? And but instead of drowning our feelings, now we understand that character building is a way to go, right? Yeah. What was the first thing that happened? What was the first pain? What was the consequences of your drinking? You changed. It was the pain. What did the pain do? The pain created what we call the gift of desperation. You know what gift of desperation spells? It spells God. Gift of desperation equals God. Good orderly direction, all sorts of stuff. But yeah, spells out God. Not sure. See, I'm not sure if anybody else has noticed that or not because I haven't really heard it brought up in meetings that gift of desperation was God working in our lives. Yeah, kind of like the poem "Footprints in the Sand." All right. So the first time you kind of felt this, you were finally willing to do the steps because the pain outweighed anything else anymore. The alcohol was no longer working. Then in AA, we looked and listened. Everywhere we saw failure and misery transformed by humility into priceless assets. You're a priceless asset. Your experience, there's no amount of money in the world that could equal your experience. There's not enough money in the world to cover that. It's priceless. It is beyond money. All right. when we decide to face our problems and learn from them. And once we get through them, then we can teach other people how we got through it, right? Like kind of when I'm going through something, I usually try and seek out somebody else who has gone through it because they probably have a solution and they can help me work towards that solution. So whereas the pain, for us is when pain turns into action that it really starts to work for us. That we understand that pain can sometimes just be a part of life, you know. Um, and then we get to convert it into good use. Now, anybody that's had a past has the opportunity to do this, but there's something that needs to be done first. And for us, it's the fourth step. It's sitting down. How are you going to pass it on? How are you going to, how are you going to pass on something when you haven't experienced it? Now, maybe education, but it's still not going to quite be the same, is it? Right? When I sit down with another alcoholic, I understand their pain, and so do you. That therapist doesn't. They don't understand. They can empathize a little bit, maybe put themselves, maybe walk a little bit in your shoes, but even then, they're not even going to feel even part of what we do. Right? We alcoholics, we have a loneliness that most people they don't fucking understand. They don't. They don't understand it because they haven't been there. And what does that do? Well, it makes us feel a little bit more lonely sometimes, right? So, we heard story after story of how humility had brought strength out of weakness. In every case, pain had been the price of admission into a new life. I don't know why the consequences need to be that bad for us alcoholics to change our minds. Maybe I don't want to hear any alcoholic say they don't have tolerance for things when you had to tolerate yourself for that many years. Seriously. And tolerate your own behavior, tolerate a certain amount of pain, those hangovers, the shaking, the sweats. Yeah. But this admission price had purchased more than we expected. It brought a measure of humility, which we soon discovered to be the healer of pain. We began to fear pain less and desire humility more than ever. Now, humility as a word kind of has a bad time in this world. We tend to tie it to humiliation, and these are two separate words. These are two separate words. In this case, humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking about yourself less. I have found that one of the best solutions for almost anything that I go through is getting out of myself, removing myself from the problem. All right. Now, that doesn't mean that I should go talk to somebody who has it worse off than me. That's not what we're going for. That's ego driven. That would not be unconditional love. That would be conditional in my book, right? If my intention was, I'm going to go help this person to make me feel better, I already know I'm probably going to feel better about it. But then that's not going to, my focus isn't going to be on helping them. My focus is going to be on me feeling better. And that's going to backfire in my face. My intentions have got to be pure. It's got to be an altruistic movement, or it's not going to work for me. Right? So go and help somebody else out without any kind of expectation in return. And you do all right. Before you know it, you'll turn around and be like, oh, and, helping the person will probably solve your problem. All right. During this process of learning about humility, the most profound result of all was the change in our attitude towards God. And this was true whether we had been believers or unbelievers. It's the attitude towards God that I'm no longer closed minded to it, to conceptions, right? I didn't necessarily even have to consider every conception of God. I just had to find one that would work for me. See, God is everything. God is capable of being everything. So therefore, they can be anything to anyone at any time. I don't have that power. Not even close. I can barely take care of the only I could barely take care of my own brain, you know. Oh, I might be wrong. Maybe I'll get to the end of this life and you just die but I just don't believe that's going to happen. But to me it doesn't matter because I'm living life now. And right now it's working. It's working. All right. It keeps popping into my head that, we had the 2 o'clock meeting and no, it's not huge. But when we were leaving, she just needed some connection to other alcoholics. And when she said, isn't it amazing that you go to a meeting and your whole attitude changes? She's like, I feel so much better. And it's not like the meeting was off the hook or huge or anything. It's just that we were there, and that is all that mattered. You have a lot more influence on the people around you than you probably suspect. I know I do. Now, we don't talk about it much because we don't want to get into power and control and those types of things. And I agree. I don't like having control over other people's emotions. But wow, it's often they allow me to, just like I allow other people. Now, when it's a good thing, then it's a good thing, right? So I try and help people become enthusiastic about being sober, about living a better life. Humility, right? One of the big things about humility that I do here is I'm wrong often, and we'll talk about it. So what? I'm a human being. Guess what I'm doing? I'm learning, right? You probably think I know everything. A lot of people think that I know everything about AA. No, I do not. I know a lot, but even right now I'm asking for other help from other people in AA. We're going to go do these talks with the professionals. I ain't leading it. I created the opportunity, but this is a we program. So I'm asking other people that have done it before to show me how they're doing it so I do it the right way instead of Dion's way and thinking I'm doing the right thing. I get to learn more. I'm challenging myself a lot more lately on learning new things. All right. So, and this was true. We began to get over the idea that the higher power was some sort of bush league pinch hitter to be called upon only in emergency. Yeah, I don't do that anymore. I don't. Here's the thing: I don't even need to call upon God. He's a. They're already here. I don't need. I don't need to do that. God is with me right now. God is always with me. I believe that. That's why when my life is inconvenienced by a red light or being slowed down, not of my own volition, I thank God because I know He's protecting me from something that I'm probably going to do. Yeah. Well, is it true all the time? Probably not, but heck, one's enough for me, right? The notion that we could still live our own lives God helping out little now and again began to evaporate. Now we use God as a working part of our program. Yeah. And you probably talk to God more than you even realize. How often a day do you say thank you, God? I say it a lot. I've been extremely blessed these last few weeks. Right. And it's because I've been putting more effort in because I've been wanting to learn more. So God's putting all these people in my life. Not a bunch, but the people that I need to help me out. I talked to who is now I would consider my friend Donna last week, and somebody finally gave me clear-cut directions on what I wanted to do next. I have been waiting years. Okay. But it's in God's time. The way it was explained to me, things like that. Right. Claire said, God is the biggest reason why I don't drink. Yeah, yeah. God is the only reason I don't drink. Because there's no way I could have relieved the obsession myself. Without God's help, I'd be nothing. I'd probably be dead. I'd probably kill myself. I don't think I could handle it. All right. As an alcoholic, I need to feel useful a good amount of the time. Yeah. Many of us who had thought ourselves religious awoke to the limitations of this attitude. Refusing to place God first, we had deprived ourselves of his help, but now the words, "Of myself I am nothing, the Father doeth the work," began to carry bright promise and meaning. Wow. That's the attitude of I have to I get to. Now I get to work on this. I get to do this part. Yeah. Carter says still working on that. Yeah. There's a million things I'm still working on too. I don't think there's one part of my life I have perfected. I don't think that there is. I'm trying to think of one. I can't think of one thing in my life that is perfect. I'm going to tell you something. I don't want it to be. I don't. I see the beauty in the odd. I am. I see beauty in the odd things. I see beauty in the imperfections. That's the change, and that's the thought process. That's the change. Right? I don't cut off my nose to spite my face. I don't bitch about the ugliness of the forest because of a few things. Now I can see the forest for what it is, and it's beautiful. Right? Now here comes the cool part. We saw we needn't always be bludgeoned and beaten into humility. So pain, the touchstone of change, not required. Not saying that isn't the way it's going to happen, because sometimes there are things I don't know that I need to work on, and then the pain comes. I'm like, oh, I need to work on that. And then I work on it. But guess what? I didn't need to be bludgeoned into it. I didn't need to be beat about the head or anything else. It came to me. I looked at it. I'm like, it's probably right because I spotted I got it. And there we go. Didn't need to bludgeon myself. Then there are times when I see something, there's no pain. I'm like, it might just be a good idea to go ahead and change that because I want to be a better person. Yeah. I was talking to somebody else in the program earlier from CPC. I get along with this. She's awesome. All right. And she said, because we're trying to figure out, where, there's 7 locations and they need the addresses for these. It's so we can come tell the professionals what AA is about, right? And she's like, if you could expand on that communication and stuff like that, that'd be helpful. And later on, I said, and I'll make sure that communication is a little bit better too. She's like, well, now I didn't tell you that your communication was bad. I'm like, well, I didn't take it that way. But what I did hear was a suggestion on how to make my life better, and God forbid I listen to it. God forbid you say something that makes me a better person. That's what I was saying. It's like, oh, okay. You don't need to tell me something directly for me to look at something. They were right. I could have done a little bit better on my communication, but they didn't say get better at your communication. They said they gave me direction, suggestions. So see, it wasn't offensive. It wasn't. It was done exactly right. That's why I like her very much a lot, because she knows how to talk to me as somebody's slot like crazy into Ed. I'm okay with it. I am. I'm nuts. It's all right. I'm an odd duck. I've always been an odd duck. Quack, motherfuckers, quack. Doesn't bother me anymore. You can call me crazy if you want. Yeah. Crazy for crying. Crazy for trying. Crazy for feeling so blue. It could come quite as much from our voluntary reaching for it as it could come from unremitting suffering. All right. It's already hard. Don't make it harder. Don't make it harder than it needs to be, alcoholic. Dear alcoholic, don't make it harder than it needs to be. Because we're good at that, aren't we? That's something that we've been practicing a long time. It'll subside. I don't necessarily, it's been a little while since I had to learn a lesson the hard way. It's been a minute. Better knock on wood. Or I'm going to turn around and the next hour I'm going to learn a lesson the hard way. I wasn't praying for that, God. I was not praying for that. Please no. Don't pray for patience. Don't ever pray for patience. Or God will put somebody in your life who will teach you patience. A great turning point. You ever hear somebody say, I did a 180? There it is. That's the great turning point. Welcome to step 7. I did a 180. I finally saw things differently. Yep. So the great turning point in our lives came when we sought for humility as something we really wanted rather than something we must have. It marked the time when we could commence to see the full implications of step 7. Humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. Are we on time? I think I'm going to, there's only 3 more paragraphs. I'm going to go ahead and finish it. But, because I know, but we've been on step 7 all month, but it's a little different, I guess. As we approach the actual taking of step 7, it might be well if we AAs inquire once more just what our deeper objectives are. Each of us would like to live at peace with himself and his fellows. I know I would. I don't like it when people get mad at each other in meetings and stuff. It actually fucks with me a little bit because I want fellowship. I want peace. And those AA meetings are mine. I'm kind of selfish. Yeah, I didn't come to an AA meeting to listen to folks bicker or listen to how you had to kick somebody out or, things like that, man. So anyway, but that's my own problem, right? Right. We would like to be assured that the grace of God can do for us what we cannot do for ourselves. We have seen that character defects based upon short-sighted and unworthy desires are the obstacles that block our path towards these objectives. We now clearly see that we have been making unreasonable demands upon ourselves, upon others, and upon God. Emotional sobriety. That's emotional sobriety right there. Okay? Unreasonable demands. I hate to say this, but Claire says a bear still sits in the woods. I have a feeling there's an H missing in one of those words. Yep. And what does that mean? It means it means it's the way that's the way it goes. You know, and as an alcoholic, my mind still doesn't have everything perfected, right? So I have to stop making unreasonable demands. See, we live in what I like to call the microwave age. Everybody wants everything on instant minute. They want it now, 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 now. What do you mean you can't get that package to me for 3 days? Are you kidding me? 3 days isn't that long. People are losing patience. You know, when we demand that everything be presented to us right now, pronouns, that's a demand. I demand that people call me a certain thing, or it's a demand. You know, is it unreasonable? Probably depends on who you are. For me, it's not unreasonable. I don't mind. If it means that I need to use your pronouns to meet you where you're at to help, I'm willing to bend. Not everybody's that way. You know. But how can there's some, even in AA, there are people that don't like the word alcoholic. There are people that don't like the word addict. They prefer other things, right? Not everybody likes the word God. Maybe they prefer higher power, things like that. But I am on the wrong topic. So I'm going to get back to this. The chief activator of our defects has been self-centered fear. Self-centered fear. Not a fear of spiders, not a fear of heights, not a fear of these other things. Self-centered fear. Right? And there are two of them. Primarily fear that we would lose something we already possessed. Let it go, let it go, let it go. We can't be possessive, especially of other people. We cannot be possessive of them. No. Eating up all their time, making sure their attention's on us, so that we might lose something that we possess, or we would fail to get something we demanded. Those are the two primary self-centered fears. They're hardly outside of your other fears like heights and things like that. There are no other fears. It's one of these two. Even then, living upon fail to get something we demanded. Well, God, don't let bees near me at all. I don't want to be stung. Well, that's something you're demanding. Living on a basis of unsatisfied demands, we're in a state of continual disturbance and frustration. This is the insanity of the disease, doing things over and over, the continual disturbance. Okay? Therefore, no peace. Hold on. Okay. Therefore, no peace was to be had unless we could find a means by reducing those demands. The difference between a demand and a simple request is plain to anyone, including us. The seventh step is where we make the change in our attitude, which permits us, with humility as our guide, to move out from ourselves towards others and towards God. The whole emphasis of step 7 is on humility. It is really saying to us that we now ought to be willing to try humility in seeking the removal of our other shortcomings, just as we did when we admitted that we were powerless over alcohol and came to believe in a power greater than ourselves to restore us to sanity. If that degree of humility could enable us to find the grace by which such a deadly obsession could be banished, then there must be hope in the same result respecting any other problem we could possibly have. And it's true, because I have worked through a lot of stuff besides alcoholism, and now I'm a free man. So, all right, Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. See some of you in about an hour. I love you. You know I do. Peace out.